I'm very excited as I went into my attic and I was able to find a little journal entry of that Peter person from Newark. And I'd love to share it with you. It must have been in the 1970s. I was on the beach at our Cuca Lake cottage. I was about 11 or 12 years old. My sister had a bunch of friends. She was 4 years older than me, and it seemed as if she was always having all the fun. One of the guys in her group was named Peter. I remember thinking, that is a beautiful name, and I gazed up into the blue sky for a few seconds, just thinking about what a beautiful name that was. I met a Peter in 1991. He was an orthodontist in Newark. I had to take my daughter for an orthodontic evaluation. He is somewhat short, has dark hair, and has gold eyes. I remember looking into those eyes thinking, what an odd color. His manner was extremely charming. Peter commented that straightening teeth was like harnessing wild horses. He mentioned the horses in the area where he lived and how some of his friends were farmers. He examined my daughter and commented how her softer skin was so soft, he said, like you. He seemed about my age and was not wearing a wedding band. He spoke about how sloppy the roads were. It was winter. I had my hair up in a bun. I was wearing my brownish paisley jumper I had made, which is, in this country, it's a dress, not a sweater. It had what's called a princess waistline bodice. I was wearing my old-fashioned granny boots that remind me of another era. I was wearing my gold chain with 2 crucifixes, my Latin one and my Danish Protestant. Isn't Protestant, actually. I'll correct that now. Years later, Dagmar cross. I remarked to Peter that his wallpaper pattern resembled rows of teeth, and I asked if that was intentional. This appointment occurred on December 27th. With my illness, I believe then I had an illness, I became high with all the stimulation of the Christmas holiday. My birthday is the 30th, the 6th day of Christmas. By December 31, I was totally psychotic. I was convinced that Dr. Peter was Jesus and I was Mary, and the second coming was upon us. My priest, Father Roach, instructed me years before that Jesus resides in all the boys and Mary resides in all the girls. I was not a Catholic at this point, though. My husband became frantic, and his sister visited, and they were yelling, and I was not rational. I was taken to the emergency room in Clifton Springs and then taken to One South in Newark. Prior to going to the hospital, my husband called Peter and Peter offered to help in any way he could. He denied that anything had happened that was inappropriate. I became stabilized and subsequently wrote him a letter and apologized. I told him that I actually thought I was Mary and that he was Jesus. In the letter, I wrote a little poem which ended with the line, crafting smiles far across the miles. I was discharged and contemplated what had happened. This little Italian had made me feel special, but also drove me crazy. I remember as a child at the lake, we had family friends named Uncle Louie and Emil. They were Italian. They were always called out to me, Marlena. This was because I had a deep voice and reminded them of Marlene Dietrich. Mary Magdalene von Losch is who Marlene Dietrich's real name was. I would smile at them. I enjoyed the attention. I became a Roman Catholic that year after I had the encounter with Peter. 9 years passed, and my TMJ clicking became bothersome. First, I saw a specialist in the city, but working in Newark, I thought it would be more convenient to see someone local. Peter specializes in TMJ. I discussed it with my husband, and we agreed that 9 years had gone by and probably wouldn't remember me. After all, all fall, I kept having to reschedule because it was quite costly for an initial visit, and I wanted to fit the cost into my flex spending account. The appointment was January 20th. We did not refer to anything in the past. I did notice this time his eyes were green. The miracle of modern medicine, artificially colored contact lenses. He spoke about his training, how he'd attended U of R and didn't know why he was telling me this. While examining me, he stroked my upper lip, pressed into my breast, and touched my waist as we approached the counter. During the discussion, he said something that puzzled me. I'm not going to kill you. We also discussed medications and bowels, and he had stated that he preferred to go at least 2 to 3 times a day. He did not enjoy feeling bloated. In conversation, we mentioned the word sloppy again. Peter related that he understood how bothersome TMJ problems were. He had had the same problem. He related to me the different theories of TMJ disorders and told me that my position of my teeth was the problem. He adjusted my bite plate I had been wearing. Then I returned to the office where I worked. My jaw locked and it lost its mobility. I had to call him, and he rechecked me and said to come back at the end of the day. It was so bad. I went back at 4, took a huge metal syringe and injected me with Novocaine solution, stated that he had to be careful of a nerve as it could paralyze my face if he aimed incorrectly. I opened my mouth and injected the solution into the joint. After he injected me, I firmly prayed the Our Father and the Hail Mary. During the conversation, he mentioned wearing a bite plate while I watched television. I said I did not watch television. I played the piano. I raised my hands into the air and mimed the piano. Oh, that's right, he remarked. I noticed the patient next to me and the name on the chart was Gabriel. I thought to myself, I wonder if Dr. Peter is married. At that instant, he returned my bite plate to me and took notice of his wedding band, and I took notice of his wedding band. I had to schedule a return appointment. He told me he was available on February 2nd. The emphasis was clear when he stated available. I thought, Candlemas, Candlemas is also the presentation of the Lord in the temple. It was formerly called the purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It occurs 40 days after the birth of Christ. It's the midpoint of winter. Part of my illness is always connecting meanings of names and dates with significance and seeing how things relate to events in my life. In the waiting room, there was a Norman Rockwell-style figurine. It reminded me of a time when doctors pledged the Hippocratic oath upon graduating from the training, do no harm, and thou shalt not enter into the seduction of man nor woman, bond nor free. These high standards elevate doctors to an almost godlike status. We trust them with our minds and our bodies. On the wall hung a prominent portrait of the doctor and his father who practices with him. Nearby was a collage of snapshots of the clientele. I recognized one portrait, the daughter of one of my husband's close friends. I noticed the wallpaper stripes of pink that reminded me of prison bars. I sat in the old-fashioned dentist chair. There was a print of a lily or orchid framed with a mat style peeling away. On the floor, I noticed where a rectangular patch of carpet had been cut away. The bare plywood from underneath was revealed. When I left, I grabbed my fake leather purse and stated, I can't forget, it contains my goodies and my baggage. A goodie is an archaic word for a good wife, and baggage is a wanton or immoral woman. Oh, listen to this. This journal entry is amazing. Several days passed. I believe it was January 31st. I always take notice of events on the 13th and the 31st. As 3 and 1 go together, symbolic of the Virgin Mary. During the days between appointments, I became agitated and could not even concentrate on my practice my piano. I had to increase my medications. January 31st, while driving to work, it felt so full of lightning hit my mind. I went to the office and closed the door and finally contacted him. I explained I did not think it was tender of him to toy with me. I explained that I had to increase my medications, could not practice my piano, and that my husband had requested marriage counseling. I said I was practically psychotic, and the only way I was able to function was to be able to store it in my heart. He replied, I'm hereby dismissing you as my patient. I said, who's going to take care of my jaw? He replied, find another doctor. I was not even thinking that I could stand as a patient. After that, confronting him, I would be respected. It's transference. I realize now you can't stay with someone if you have feelings. I reminded him that I had been to his office 9 years ago, and he had done the same thing to me, and that I had to be hospitalized. I hung up the telephone and called his other office to tell them that I had been dismissed as his patient because I told the doctor that he had behaved too seductively. That evening, my husband and I spoke. When asked, I told him not to worry. I had slew the dragon. A few days later, a certified letter arrived with my check. An enclosed letter instructed me to never contact his office again. During the several months that followed, I had to regain the trust and friendship of my son and husband, as they believed I had instigated the situation. I did disregard Peter's instructions. Once this summer, I brought him a pamphlet, medal, and holy card of St. Tim for the patron saint of the mentally ill. When I left the receptionist, my heart was pounding. I said, I cannot resist trying to help people. Today, November 13th, 9 is the Jesus number, but also the number for aggression number. November is considered the 9th month on previous historical calendars. I called it, asked his secretary, is the Marquis de Sade there? It's a little strange. I was strange. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. I didn't realize, all these years passed, that I had gone back to him twice. Anyway, that was the first time the police had ever called about me. Oh, So, I don't know, I just always seem to get into trouble with doctors and dentists and stuff like that. That was years ago. I'm more mature now. I wouldn't go head over heels over somebody who was just toying with me. But anyway, I just wanted to, this is a long video, so I probably won't get many people that'll listen to the whole thing. But anyway, that's Dr. Peter Rivoli, and he is in Newark, New York. But that was what happened between me and him in the 90s, which was years ago. So I just thought I'd share that. Thank you.